Hey guys, this is Diana Ballard, and welcome to the Mom Training Podcast, where we discuss the skills and strategies to create possibilities in motherhood and make it more fun, efficient, organized, and peaceful. You can find more information or connect with me online at dianaballard.com or at Diana Ballard Live on social media. Yeah, you know me, always at my best. Yeah, we've never really met anyone like that, right? I don't think there's even one person who is at their best all the time. I mean, some people may pretend they are, but it's like, yeah, we know behind the scenes that you probably have some problems. There's something that you probably struggle with, but that's okay. You can continue to tell us that everything is fine. I'm always the one that's like, am I being like too real to be like, man, I just realized I suck at something. Like I am exhausted right now, right? So we're not always going to be our best. We're not always going to be at the top of our game. Okay, so we're going to chat today about how we can figure out how to fill our own bucket, how to be a little bit more full, right? Because as moms, we give and give, sometimes giving out more than what we really have to spare, and find ourselves with an empty bucket that's running dry. Yet we still expect ourselves to keep finding imaginary water to somehow keep going. And that imaginary water eventually leads to burnout, depression, and stress. So I don't know, it kind of makes me think of like a cartoon shriveled up old grumpy woman that everyone avoids because she's so like dry of any happiness, fun, and doesn't enjoy life much, complains and feels like life is just out to get her. But maybe if she opened up the curtains, stepped outside, did something she loved, who knows, maybe the world would be a better place for her. Because girl, we don't want to be that shriveled, upset lady. No, and I know I've been there before, but glad I haven't stayed there. I got myself hydrated, and put on a little moisturizer and drank me some coconut water. No, but in all seriousness, though, we need to fill our bucket so we don't have a dry spell and have to scramble for more. And confession time, the reason why we're talking about this today is I was just that old shriveled lady. Yeah, I'm this old lady. About a month or so ago, I was pretty worn out, that I was drier than leftovers stuck on my kitchen counter. Yeah, it was bad. Now, we've been talking about capacity and rejuvenating ourselves and how a day of rest is important. So talking about capacity, mine suddenly overflowed pretty bad. For me, being pregnant, my cup is already half full of capacity just because it's growing a baby. So I'm not sleeping as well as I roll side to side like a beached whale. Bless my husband. My body is like working even while I sleep, and this baby's getting huge and enjoying whatever nutrients it needs from my body. And I'm supplying that, right? But it's all good. I love it, whatever. But it's taking up a lot of my capacity, and I'm realizing that now. So my capacity is not as much as it was when I wasn't pregnant, right? Because times change, seasons are different. Outside or inside, in my case, can demand different things on us, and we have to adjust what we need and are capable of. We can't expect ourselves to be able to be the same speed or capacity all the time and in all seasons of life. So about a month ago, I melted. I became an old, shriveled woman. Yeah, life became dark and not very fun. I was worn out. That's when my husband encouraged a day of rest, which we talked about last time, and then he also encouraged me to have some me time, to do whatever I wanted to do by myself. Now let me share what happened when that day came. I started my me time by taking a nap and then found myself really concerned about what do I do to fill my bucket? I came out crying because I didn't even remember what filled my bucket. And because of like a handful of other commitments, a couple times a week, it's been like a good 9 months, which is a long time for me, since I have taken a routine weekly mom date. Like meaning where like once a week, I'd be like, Thursday night is mine, and I'm just going to go drive for like an hour. Or I'm going to go like, talk to a bum. Or, I'm going to go, volunteer somewhere or take myself out to eat or visit a friend, like that me time was something that I just had a spontaneous time and I loved it. So I found myself being like, what the heck do I even do? Like after tears and talking it through, pardon the flood of pregnancy hormones, I decided to go take myself to dinner someplace I really liked, Zupas, and to go get me a handful of dark chocolate almonds from a bulk foods place. Yep, so simple, but with something spontaneous and easy and just for me. As I was out and about, I couldn't believe my reaction earlier about not knowing how to fill my bucket and have fun. I realized, man, I am so out of practice of how to fill my bucket. I've just kept going and going and going, and I am dry. Like my bucket's dusty. And no one needs to be dusty, right? So it got me thinking about what fills my bucket. So let's chat about our me time and how that time can be used to fill our bucket. Now, I'm not saying that our family can't fill our bucket. It can. And if we learn how to have our family fill our bucket, then we are golden, right? Because we'll enjoy family life so much more and hopefully prevent less burnout because of it. But one type of bucket filling is never the answer. As humans, we need more than just one type of nutrient in our self-care routine and needs. Like if we only ate beans and kale every day, we'd get pretty sick of it after a while and would suffer from malnutrition from missing the other parts of our diet. So are beans and kale healthy for you? Some of you may argue that kale is actually trying to kill you by how bad it tastes, which kale is actually one of my favorite greens. But yes, beans and kale are healthy. It's just not a full balanced diet. So our family can fill our bucket, but we still need some other things that make us feel complete and rejuvenated as well. So I want you to think about what you may need to fill your bucket. If you haven't thought about it in a while, it may be a little challenging to think about what really makes me happy or what would take the pressure off normal life for me right now. So it might be hard to think of something, but let me share an idea that might help you in your process of thinking. So before getting married, I could foresee, after interviewing all these hundreds of moms, I could foresee that I could potentially have the challenge of forgetting what I enjoyed and what I loved to do before becoming a mom. So I started to make a list of things that I really enjoyed. Now, remember, I got married at 27, right? So I had a good amount of time to figure out, what do I love? What fills my bucket. And that was kind of my focus of my life. I loved life. I still love life. But that was my focus was dude, what can I do to spice things up? Or where can I go? Or what fun thing can I do? Right? So, again, everyone's on their own specific journey. So you may be I just don't even know. I don't even know what I enjoy. Well, let's experiment. Let's take a chance. Let's try something, Go do something by yourself. Go do something with a friend. Go, join a club. Where you talk about gardening. I don't know. It can be something totally individual just to you. But so again, I could foresee that I could potentially forget what I enjoyed and what I loved doing before becoming a mom. So I started to make a list of things that I really enjoyed. And it started with just a note on my phone. I'd go for a walk in the rain and I enjoy it, so I put it on the note on my phone. I'd make a new friend with a stranger, sing a song, try new food. I'd write it down on the list. And after a good 6 months or so, or even more, I don't know, of randomly adding things, when I thought about it, the list got pretty long, which I then organized in categories, printed out, and put in one of those plastic sheet cover things in a 3-ring binder, which the binder I have added to over the years of self-care needs, routine, organization experiments, recipes, whatever. Kind of my mom, wife book that I started before I got married, which that binder is something I learned from a spectacular powerhouse mom. So we'll have to talk about that book and its content sometime. But after that mom date struggle of not knowing what to do, I pulled out the list and it was a breath of fresh air. As I read it, some of it was oh yeah, that does sound like a blast. Yeah, I would love doing that again. Oh man, that sounds relaxing, right? So I'll give you a couple things on my list, some of the topics that you can, kind of think of, oh, okay, well, I can maybe think about this area or look into this area or whatever. So it's art or creative things, spiritual things to do in nature, things I like to do with people, food, things that make me feel alive and invigorated, personal development or goal setting, music, dancing, spontaneous things like skinny dipping randomly, which is a hoot if you've never tried it, do it. Bringing someone a gift, going thrift store shopping, or just looking around at random things, throwing a party, winning contests. There were so many random funny things on the list, things that I enjoyed. And even after I've printed the list, I've continued to add things to it. It has ideas scribbled in all the categories on the page, things that I didn't have when I was single, like surprising my husband, trying something new in our intimate life, getting a new thing of lingerie, snuggling with my children on a rainy day, watching the kids explore and see something that is so exciting and mind-blowing to them like a worm. Ooh. Their laughter, making them laugh or tickling them or smiling, like stuff like that. We can constantly be adding to the list, but the whole point of the list is to give us some ideas when our mind may not be able to remember what we like or what we need. So it's kind of like your backup mind. You're like, oh, yeah, right. Got it. I will do that. So I invite you to try it. Start a new note on your phone and title it Things I Love to Do, and start adding things. Things you may remember from a while ago or things that bring you joy now. And when you think of something, add it. And when you need some time to recuperate, look at the list, scroll through it, and pick something or try something new that you can add to the list later. And then maybe start to include your family in some of the things that you love. It doesn't always have to be you being alone to be me time. It doesn't have to always be away from the home that fills your bucket. And it shouldn't be all the time, right? We need to be filling our bucket at home too, because our home is one of the best, most important places that we can be. So obviously, if we're not feeling joy, that's kind of a problem. We need to try to incorporate filling our bucket at home too and learning how to create that. So it's like taking the family on a hike or camping, go serve someone and include everyone. Plan a movie night at home with popcorn and a fun tree. Start to think about what your surroundings are, what your resources are, and what you can create with what you have to do something you enjoy. And honestly, it may feel like work in the beginning. It may feel like, okay, another thing on my to-do list. Oh, fill my bucket. Who has time for that? Again, going back to the day of rest thing, it takes trust to take the time out of our life to do something for ourselves and to rest. But I will promise you, when your bucket is full, or how my husband likes to say, if your saw is sharpened, you're going at that wood with that saw and it's dull, man, you're going to be sitting there wasting so much energy. Just go sharpen the thing. Just go do something you love. Go do something that fills your bucket, sharpens that saw so you can get in there and be like, saw, rah, 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 rah. Yeah, that's right. I just built that. That's what I'm saying. So we'll be so much more efficient with our daily activities, have clarity, and not be running on stress hormones or a lack of sleep. So I invite you to give the me time and the day of rest a try and see how much more productive you are in the times that you've set aside to be productive. Your focus will be better, your problem-solving abilities will definitely better, and you will feel better overall. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Share this with another mama, and we'll see you next week on the Mom Training Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning into the Mom Training Podcast. If you liked what you heard, I would so appreciate a rating and review from you on any platform you listen to this on. If you have any questions or podcast ideas, you can message me on my social media at Diana Ballard Live or shoot me an email on my website. See you next week.